Graduates and guests, may we have your attention, please? Convocation is about to begin. If you have a mobile device or pager with you, please turn it off or silence it during the ceremony. Thank you for your attention and congratulations. If able, please rise.
We wish to acknowledge this land in which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we're grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. We're also grateful to have the opportunity to celebrate the achievements of our scholars who graduate today. On their behalf, let us express gratitude for the support of their families and friends, and for the faculty and staff who have guided them in their pursuit of knowledge. Whatever our own traditions, let us reflect as we proceed through the convocation ceremony on the many years of effort, sacrifice, and success that have brought us to this time of celebration. In Concilium Universitatis Torontoensis Vocatisumus. Graduates, please remain standing. All guests, please be seated.
Insignissime cancelaria, presento tibi hosce scholaris, ut admittantur ad gradus varios, testorque eos coad omnia quae, statuta requirunt aptos et idoneos esse.
Ad perfectum hues provinciae, huesque maginae patriae, et ad perfectum omnium notionum omnibus interis canentarum ego, ex autoritate mihi, et toti universitate commissa, admitto vos ad gratus varios. Coram ora vobis do, et peto quoque ut omnia conficiatis, munera quae ad illos grados pertinent.
Please be seated. My name is Barrett Gertler. It is my great privilege to serve the University of Toronto as its 16th president. Today, I have the additional privilege of assisting Chancellor Wes Hall in conducting this convocation. The university is an institution with deep historical roots and many enduring traditions. Among those is our use of the language of the medieval university in today's wonderful celebration. For those in attendance who, like me, are less than fluent in Latin, a translation may be helpful. For my part, I said, "Most distinguished Chancellor, I present to you these scholars that they may be admitted to the various degrees. And I bear witness that, as far as all things which the statutes require, they are fit and suitable." Much more significantly, from the standpoint of the graduating class, the Chancellor then replied, "To the benefit of this province, this great country, and to the worldwide community of nations, I, by the authority vested in me and in the whole university, admit you to your various degrees, grant to you the rights, and ask of you the responsibilities of doing all those things which pertain to those degrees." And so, as my first order of business, I am delighted to salute you, the graduating classes of 2025 from the School of Graduate Studies, Faculty of Kinesiology and Physical Education, Victoria College, and the Faculty of Arts and Science. That's it. You're done. Warmest congratulations. I'd also like to bid a warm welcome to everyone who has joined us here in historic Convocation Hall. Graduates, today the University of Toronto is formally recognizing your hard work, your accomplishments, your perseverance, and this milestone. Each of you, as a member of the graduating class, is joining an exceptional family of University of Toronto alumni. U of T has a global community of over 700,000 alumni in 196 countries. They are the university's living legacy and our greatest ambassadors. Today, we are also recognizing Alan Taylor, an alumnus of the University of Toronto, an award-winning director, writer, and producer, who's being recognized for his outstanding contributions to film and television. We will hear much more about our honorary graduate in a moment. But for now, let me simply observe that U of T alumni serve in leadership roles in every corner of the globe and in every walk of life. They are prime ministers, justices, scholars, authors, community and business leaders, scientists, and professionals of every description. Their endeavors have shaped the world we live in and the way we understand that world. We have no doubt that the University of Toronto's high international standing can be attributed to generations of dedicated and very talented faculty and staff members. But we also understand that this reputation has been built by our alumni, a group that now includes each and every one of you. So to the graduating class, let me say thank you. You have been amazing members of our community. Thank you for your many contributions to the university while you were a student. And thank you for what you will do as members of Canada's largest and, I believe, most distinguished alumni community. One more word of thanks is in order. I'm sure all graduates share a sense of gratitude to the friends and family members who helped bring them to this special day. So I would ask you to join me and the platform party in thanking them with a vigorous round of applause. Let me continue with a request. One of the distinguishing features of our convocation is that graduates come forward to be recognized individually. You'll be coming up the ramp and you'll find yourself walking along the red carpet and parking right about here as your name is read, and you can wave to your adoring fans who will be applauding rapturously at that point. We then want you to follow the red carpet over to that ramp over there, go down the ramp, out the door, and around the hall. And at that point, you will turn left and quietly re-enter the hall while your peers continue to be recognized. Now, in that spirit, I encourage you to think of the very last person who's going to be on this stage this afternoon. And I believe it will be Athanasia Athena Zygotegos. Athanasia, are you here? Could you stand up, please? So everyone, remember Athanasia and return to your seat. Thank you for your understanding and your assistance, and once more, my warmest congratulations. It's now my privilege to invite Professor Rhonda McEwen, President and Vice Chancellor of Victoria University in the University of Toronto, to present our Honorary Graduand.
Alan J. Taylor. Alan Taylor is an award-winning director, writer, and producer. He attended Victoria College at the University of Toronto for his undergraduate degree, where he studied history and philosophy. After graduation, with distinction, he attended Columbia University, where he completed an MA in Modern European History. He went on to complete an MFA in Film Studies at New York University's Tisch School of the Arts. He applied to NYU because his hero, Martin Scorsese, was an alumnus. Scorsese also became one of Taylor's instructors and mentors at Tisch. While at NYU, Taylor received a scholarship and placed first in a mobile film competition for his short, That Burning Question, which was his NYU thesis. The film received numerous accolades and launched his career in film and television. His film, Palookaville, received the award for Best First Feature at the Venice Film Festival. Other films include The Emperor's New Clothes, Kill the Poor, Thor, The Dark World, Terminator Genesis, and The Many Saints of Newark, a prequel to the Sopranos series. In television, Taylor won an Emmy for directing The Sopranos and a DGA award for the pilot of Mad Men. He has directed episodes of Homicide: Life on the Street, Oz, West Wing, 6 Feet Under, Sex and the City, Carnivale, Deadwood, Lost, Rome, Big Love, Bored to Death, and Boardwalk Empire. He was a recurring director and executive producer on HBO's Game of Thrones, as well as the follow-up series House of the Dragon. Most recently, Taylor directed and executive produced Interview with the Vampire for AMC, based on the beloved novel by Anne Rice. He is currently developing projects for film and television. At the pinnacle of a career which has brought the pleasure and fascination to millions of people, Taylor continues to be engaged with the University of Toronto. He has appeared as a Vic I plenary speaker, has hosted a fireside chat with students of the Jewison stream in Vic I. He has attended several alumni reunions and most recently was a presenter in 2004 at a U of T Where You Are event. For his excellence in the arts and entertainment, as an award-winning director, screenwriter, and producer, Mr. Chancellor, on behalf of the Governing Council, I ask you to confer the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa upon Alan Taylor.
On behalf of the University of Toronto, and by virtue of the authority vested in me, I have the great honor and pleasure of conferring on you, as I do now, the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa.
Okay, that's good. I'm not that tall. First of all, congratulations, class of 2025. I'm old enough for that to sound like the far future, but here we are already. This is a huge and unexpected honor. Thank you. My only regret is that I can't share this with my parents, especially my mom, who was an academic and a role model for me. And when I ran off to a career in film and television, I think she thought I was going off to join the circus, and she was mostly right. But if she was here, I could say, look, Ma, the roads converged. It all turned out okay in the end. But I am very grateful to be here. I'm very honored. Grateful, but also a bit appalled. Honored, but also, I mean, this is an honor, but it's also a catastrophe, because I am not a public speaker. I never have been, never expected to be. Some people are afraid of heights. I'm not. My fiancée is afraid of snakes. She's also afraid of raisins, which I don't understand. But for me, it's this. This. Most of my life choices, some of my life choices, have been made to avoid situations like this. When I was studying history at Victoria College, my vision of heaven was to be sequestered in Robarts Library in one of those pointy windows that feels like you're in the prow of a ship, working in solitude with a stack of books and index cards. When I made my big transition, work transition, and went into film and television, it was still, it was more social activity, but it was still very much, it appealed to me because it was a work behind the camera, not being up here in public view. So I'm not really suited for this, and it gets worse because I did some research, and apparently you're supposed to offer advice and sort of life lessons in things like this. And I come from a family that is not strong on those things, and is kind of cynical about the whole idea. My father left us with two pieces of advice, which I can share with you today. One of them is, if you're ever parking, always start where you want to be and then work your way outwards. If you're transferring leftovers from a container into another one, it'll always fit in a smaller container than you think. These things have turned out to be true and useful, but we can agree they're all trivial too, and they don't really help guide a graduating class into the future. So my life has not prepared me for this moment to share this with you, and I decided I didn't have any other recourse but to embrace that catastrophe as my theme. So life will not go as you intend. Life will often not go as you intend is sort of the theme for me. Plans will falter, things will go awry. This is to be expected, and I think more than that is to be embraced. I think this occurs to me as an idea, partly because of my own career path, where I trained for years in one subject, history, European history, and then had a kind of radical rethink, a sensation that I was in the wrong room or in the wrong world, and went into film and television. And so I was unprepared for the world I went into, but and it was a big disruption, but there was a continuity between the two. There was my love of history was to sort of study human behavior and try and understand humanity. And I think I've been trying to do the same thing in film and television ever since, exploring stories as a way to delve into what makes us who we are and why. I think I'd like to take a moment there to praise the liberal arts education. It's the Swiss Army knife of disciplines, I think. It's not just a first step in a prescribed set of steps to a career. It is the best step towards any career. And I think those of you who have gone that route, your life will be richer for it. I think if there were more grads going that route, the world would be a better place, and more resilient to some of the forces we see at work against us these days. I've heard that even like medical schools value the liberal arts degree because they know they can teach their students the science and the math and so on, but they appreciate a grounding in the human arts. It was certainly the case in my career. It helped me. And the career I've chosen as director has certainly driven home today's theme, which is that things almost never go as intended when you're directing. I think that's true of almost every career, every life, but especially as a director, it's more urgently true and more expensively true. We plan like crazy because we have to, but everything goes wrong all the time. The weather, the actors, locations. So early in my career, I developed a habit, which I learned from a Russian cinematographer who was not a very sunshiny fellow, kind of a dark spirit, but when things would start to go terribly wrong, like, he would turn and say, "It's going to be great." And he said it ruefully a little bit, but also sort of defiantly. And it's become a mantra for me, that when things start to go bad, I sort of repeat that to myself, repeat it to the crew. It's kind of the noise that we make to each other, the story we tell each other when we're trying to find the will to sort of get through it, to when things are looking particularly dire. The same idea has found many expressions. Obviously, the basic concept of Ragnarok in Norse mythology, the idea that there's a battle at the end of time and we're going to lose, but we're still having to fight it. I think it's in Albert Camus' thoughts on rebellion. Hemingway explored it, and For Whom the Bell Tolls, there's a final mission at the end of the novel, and we know it's doomed, and we know it's meaningless, and we do the mission anyway. Nietzsche had a good phrase for it, amore fati, to embrace every part of your fate, not just the good bits, but all of it. And I'd like to pause for a second and thank, for those 4 references I just made so effortlessly, a liberal arts education. While working as a director, I learned a couple of things. My first bit of advice, there's only 2, following my father's footsteps. The first one was that all directors plan, we have to, that good directors are fully aware while they're planning that their plan is likely to collapse, and that the best directors don't just know what the plan is, but why they have that plan, what's behind it. There's any number of occasions where the shot you planned cannot work the way you meant it to, or the location you thought you needed disappears, or the actor is way too drunk today to work. But if you know why you needed that piece, you can find it. You can find it somewhere else. You can adapt. There are famous cases. Spielberg made a movie about sharks, actually one shark, and it turned out the shark was just a disaster. The shark sank, the shark floated upside down. The shark was the least scary thing he'd ever seen. So if you watch that film now, you'll see the shark is not in the movie for the first half, because he knew what he had to hang on to. And the movie he created was actually a much more profound existential dread movie than a scary thing about a bitey thing. So that was a case where losing something and the way he responded to it elevated the whole thing. I'm no Spielberg, but I've had occasions like that, smaller ones. We were shooting Game of Thrones in Iceland, and I'd chosen this location that was beautiful, sparkling water, little tiny floating icebergs, and we wanted something beautiful because we were bringing these 2 elements together. I don't know if anyone's seen the show, but Jon Snow and the wildlings were sort of meeting for the first time. And we got to the location, and there was no lake anymore. When it was still there, but it had frozen solid, and there was a dusting of snow over it. So no sparkling water, nothing impressive. And I started walking out onto the ice, and the crew started coming with me. And about halfway out, we heard like that in the ice, and every American and every UK crew member turned and headed towards the shore. But I noticed every Icelandic person just kept walking. So I kept walking too, and we wound up shooting the entire scene, not just looking at the icebergs from the distance, but amongst the icebergs. And so this beautiful setting for this important story moment was elevated precisely because we had a catastrophe. I think most directors will agree that their best work happened because their plan slammed into reality. That's not true of all directors. Hitchcock is famous for never, ever changing his plan. He storyboarded everything. He stuck to the plan. And that's why there's sort of an airless quality to his movies, I think, and it's also why he hated filming. It was boring to him. The movie had already been made in his head, and he didn't feel the need to make it again. So he's not exactly a role model for all of us directors. But I think most directors will agree that the best work happens when your plan is slammed. And I don't mean to be Pollyanna about that as a kind of general approach to life. I think some disasters are simply terrible and just disasters. I do not believe that everything happens for a reason. I do not believe that whatever doesn't kill you will make you stronger. I think frequently it will leave you scarred, miserable, and traumatized for life. But I do believe that there's a process, that this is the process where life happens, where creativity happens, and where the best work happens. Your plan hits reality. It forces you to focus really on what you really want and need. And in the long run, I think it makes you focus on who you are. A famous philosopher from Hollywood, George Clooney, is one of many people to say that you don't learn anything from success. I think that's true. Others have put it other ways. Career, life, it's not a monologue. It's not a, it's a conversation. It's not giving a PowerPoint, and it's not dictating a prepared speech, thank God. You're on a date. You're on a date with life and on a date with work. You could certainly approach a date with a plan, like 7 o'clock, tell her about your thoughts and hopes. 7:15, ask about her mom. But if you stick to the plan, you're going to be missing most of the reason to have a date, and it's probably going to be the last one you have, at least with that person. To elevate it slightly, and quoting the same source, Einstein put it more scientifically. He said, no problem is ever solved on the plane of consciousness that created it. I think we tackle a problem and we confront a problem, and in doing so we are changed, and that changes how we tackle it. Everyone has heard, it's not the destination, it's the journey. I think you can take it a step further and say, it's not really either, it's who you become along the way. Which brings us to my second piece of advice, which I promise is short, we're almost there. And this came very early in my experience at film school, which was kind of a brutal experience in some ways. I'm not sure what the system is here, it's been a while. But after first year, they cut the class in half. They tell half of you can't come back, and half of you are invited back for the rest of it. And so there was competition about awards and all this stuff. But at a certain point, pretty early on, I realized that at my best, I would make a movie that my competitor, the person I most competed against, would never make. And he would, at his best, never make a film that I would make. It was sort of meaningless to compete because we're on separate paths. We're like running completely different races. And the plan you start with, I should say, that insight that we're on our own paths, we're running our own races, and that they're unique, is sort of the main point that I'm trying to get to. I found it liberating and clarifying. The plan that you start with is important, but it's just the beginning. It's a projection. It does not describe you. Neither do the inevitable setbacks and failures. It's how you navigate between them that describes you. And that navigation and that path that you're on, that conversation you're having with life, the date that you're on, is as unique to each of you as your fingerprint. This is where great work, creativity, and your character are forged and revealed. That's almost the end of what I want to say today. But kind of side note, I feel an obligation to, you can't really talk about all this stuff, plans collapsing, things not going as you want, wondering how we should carry on without addressing our current situation, I think, in the world. More generally, I think no one should speak in public without saying at least a couple of things about the times we're in. The times are out of joint. The times are not ordinary. The plans that guided us and that we took for granted for a long time seem to be falling apart. The center is not holding. The best seem to lack all conviction, and the worst are full of passionate intensity. And for that phrase, I would like to thank a liberal arts education. Maybe pick that up. Academia, journalism, freedom of expression, human rights, all the good stuff is under attack. Fear is being cultivated and weaponized. Oppression is on the march. Ukraine, Gaza. The most wealthy country in the globe, the biggest military, once seen by many as a beacon, the place I've called home for quite a while, is now slouching towards craven oligarchy and benighted fascism. Things in a very big way are not going as intended, not by the founders of that nation, not by anybody who believes in democracy, human rights, mutual respect, progress, truth, all the good stuff. But as we look around at ourselves and the world, we can see a response rising. Characters are being forged and revealed. I have to say, the recent vote in this country, the recent vote in Australia, even the choice in the Vatican are signs. Academic institutions are finding the will and the courage to reassert their rights and their beautiful obligations. So there are sparks of hope as we all encounter this setback and this failure to live up to our intentions. There are sparks of hope, and today is one of them. This is a day of celebration. You all had a plan, I think 4 years ago. You had a mission, you had an intention, and you accomplished it. As I say, in my experience as director, that's almost a statistical anomaly, that things would turn out as planned. But that makes it all more precious and worthy of celebration. And as you move out onward and into the wider world, I would encourage you to have a plan, yes, but to know why you have it as much as what the plan is, to hold tight to the first and be ready to blow up the second one. As you do, you will be forging a path that is entirely your own, unique to yourself, that no one has ever taken, no one else ever will take, the path that will not exist until you forge it. Each of you is bringing a unique set of skills, experiences, successes, failures, doubts, strengths, neuroses, gifts, burdens. I can guarantee that things will not go as you intend, but I would like to end by saying something I've said many times, standing in the mud, in the pouring rain, as we are losing the light, and the camera jams, and the actor's late, and the dragon refuses to come out of her trailer. I say this to you with a combination of conviction, desperation, some rueful irony, and some defiant optimism. It is going to be great.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rado Craiovano. I'm the university reader. Please bear with us a moment as our graduating students approach the stage. We thank you for your patience. Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you the following candidates from the School of Graduate Studies who are being admitted to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Stephanie Burek. Michael Jurgensen. Candidates from the School of Graduate Studies who are being admitted to the degree of Master of Science. Paul Leslie Babbitts. Rowena Tsai. Golnaz Gazinur. Alfred Ji-un Min. Samira Sunderji. Candidates from the School of Graduate Studies who are being admitted to the degree of Master of Professional Kinesiology. Monica Sofia Antunes. William Messenger Brooks. Maria Rosa Maya Bruzzese. Yut Ting Chu. Brianna Della Rovere. Kerem Farahani. Cabrina Forbes. Nicole Marie Fraser Heslin. Caitlin Ling Kwan. Chun-Hao Lee. Benjamin Barbon Mariano. Jaden Michael Marianayagam. Madison Louise McDowell. Taryn Nicole Megumi Mori. Yi Chung Pan. Jamil Patel. Yao Ting Peng. Garrison Boyd Pyle. Davin Galen Randath. Julia Alexandra Rankin. Julio Alessandro Di Rivera. Elias Saba. Subanki Sabesan. Benjamin Thomas Slaughter. Bethlehem Lulu Tadesse. Alyssa Teixeira. Andala Cassandra Tutu. Vidya Vikinaraj. Candidate from the Faculty of Kinesiology and Physical Education who's being admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Physical and Health Education. Thomas Richard McNeil. Candidates from the Faculty of Kinesiology and Physical Education who are being admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Kinesiology. Lina Walid Abdel Ghaffar. Nathaniel Merasaeta Abera. Sarah Aditya. Fahad Ahmed. Hasna Hanifa Ali. Chantal Almeida. Hasna Amini. Tara Arya. Lucas Neves Azevedo. Idris Saman Badula. Anshal Badwal. Anna Baker. Arvin Baragani. Jerome Nicholas Thomas Patrick Barber. Angelica Zara Bath. Sofia Francesca Belisario. Lucas Birnbaum. Alexandra Bernard Borda-Chan. Kyla Ann Jersey Breen. Lillian Elise Brooks.
Jean-Marc Badang. Harry Kai. Jingxing Cai. Samuel Castro Rojano. Lorenzo Antonio Cerullo. Ao Jun Chan. Cassie Hoying Chan. Alexander Christoph Che. Andy Chen. Jijing Chen. Ling Ying Chen. Tina Yuting Chen. Yunju Cho. Cassandra Brooke Juna Chow. Elise Rose Christopoulos. Beatrice Callista Ko Chua. Allison Penelope Chung. Nga Yin Chung. Edward Ryan Collins. Ivana Julia Kulig. Jude Dabus. Emily Yasmin Daroga. Helena Kinga Det. Dylan Michael Denif. Aliana Altaf Dalla. Haley Taryn Papamanjaris Di Bono. Roya Dilmagani Zadeh. Benjamin Jacob Dervin. Rumi Rochelle Dolmaya. Rachel Ilana Dreyer. Jennifer Driza. Bronwyn Ann Elliott. Aiden Jacob Esguerra. Hafsa Ezo. Mohammed Shahir Farouk. Yasmin Fatahi. Mateo Antonio Fetor. Ivana Julia Fiorucci. Ezekiel Stefan Fontaine. Marco Gajic. Gavin Matthew Gibbs. Aliyah Aziz Gilani. Jaipreet Goindi. Victoria Susanna Elise Gracibona. Hillary Ryan Groves. Alexandros Michael Haramis. Ira Mishal Hassani. Sean Thomas Hernandez. Rebecca Mary Hewlett. Robin Nancy Hewlett. Sarah Kamal Hamadan. Kansan Wu Ho. Nicole Yingjun Ho. Yi Chung Renee Han. Stephen Alexander Hrovat. Kier Huang. Emily T. Huynh. Abigail Louise Ingram. Olivia Jastionowska. Yi-Young Jung. Wenzhe Jin. Alan Joma. Zen Rupesh Kapadia. McKinley Ann Kennedy. Amina Khan. Alexander Sejin Kim. Dongmin Kim. Jaewook Ko. Molly Lois Cope. Sophia Kumarelas. Reba Krishanthan. Jose Angelo Cartago Labrador. Jonathan Line. Andy Lau. Melania Christina Lavasidis. Jaden Akira Laws. Leah Le. Chuk Hung Matthew Lee. Key Lee. Samantha Lee. IT Heidi Leung. Hoi Ching Vienna Leung. Ho Yu Leung. Yao Xing Leung. Sophie Carol Levasseur. Tanran Lee. Haoxuan Li. Luofei Li. Qian Li. Xuheng Li. Anais Lin. Royi Lin. Dante Francesco Leo. Alexandra Denise Litigio. Xiang Liu. Yuzi Liu. Zirui Liu. Emma Chodi Lo. Ziho Lo. Tyler Cedric Lunaria. Yuran Ma. Zhuohang Ma. Hannah Renee Mabi. Alessia Adriana Magno. Jai Mahi. Lindsay Nicole Meyer. Chunhei Nicholas Mak. Akshara Angeline Marianayagam. Gabrielle Martin. Damien Mercier McDonald. Landon Audrey Gale Meadows. Vanessa Medeiros. Matthew Hurien Mendoza. Emily Elise Miller. Andrew Wellington Milner. Ahmed Akram Mohammed. Kyle Michael Nalepa. Chanel Nuri. D.O. Isa Ongoiba. Cynthia Lauren Orlana. Kevin Sejun Park. Davis Mackenzie Parsons. Mohammed Zawar Patel. Victoria Patterson. Wei An Peng. Erica Marina Jacqueline Petrucci. Tammy New Feng. Nia Lauren Picones. Karina Olivia Piro. Matthew Jonathan Prenevo. Lakish Puvanenti Raja. David Sebastian Ramirez. Gavin Lan Ran. Isabella Sarah Grace Renault. Christina Isabel Ruiz Villalta. Nasia Zoe Sequeira. Jacob DeMello. Isam Serena Silveira. Joseph Sorgini. Christopher Lambros Tamadianos. Timothy Pierre Stalker. Antonio Pavlovsky Sutherland. Caden Ryan Swanson. Allison Swartz. Kurt Thomas Tan Si. Chi Ching Jennifer Tam. Emily Rachel Jennifer Tatham. Lucy Victoria Tempest. William Torrance. April Nyaklin Tran. Jennifer Tran. Liam Francis Tran. Nicholas True. Gabrielle Marie Vass. Joshua Anthony Villegas. Charles Viernes. Michael Visconti. Larry Nguyen Vo. Christine Vu. Bin Yu Wang. Nai Hung Wang. Si Hao Wang. Yanxiang Wang. Yiru Wang. Emma Rochelle Chan Viersba. Lauren Norma Martha Wilcox. Taylor Sonia Ann Wilcox. Megan Mary Wong. Sifeng Wong. Lin Yun Wu. Yinjun Lucita Wat. Zixuan Xiao. Hejin Yao. Geyang Ye. Jamie Han Yu. Joaquina Chin Nga Yun. Keegan Zavitz. Queenie Zhou.
Mr. Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you the following candidates from the Victoria College who are being admitted to the degree of Honors Bachelor of Arts. Noor Abu Yunus. Janet Omoboriola Adisa. Aman Aryaman Agarwal. Zara Ahmadi. Chala Akwel. Duruk Akiprik. Alp Aksungur. Clarissa Selina Ali. Sophia Fahima Aljundi. Ishana Anand. Connor J. Andrews. Hajira Ashfaq. Maria Sophie Astapova. Alicia Michelle Atfield. Lillian Homayan Babakan. Mitzi Jasmine Badlis. Gabrielle Maria Begunya. Tess Elizabeth Jane Bainborough. Jeji Bajwa. Sophia Catherine Marie Barbieri. Viviana Katerina Berendt. Olivia Jean Belovich. Lori Berberian. Alexander Solomon Berlin. Camille Jolie Bessie. Elizabeth Bestard Bengochea. Anjali Srivastava Burji. Claire Howard Birch. Ambra Maria Francesca Bisagni. Isabella Greer Black. Margaret May Alexandra Bona. Nathaniel Benjamin Borens. Willow Sarah Brooks. Fiona Rose Michi Brown. Jasmine Wall. Emma Grace Callan Bennick. Lila Annabelle Carr. Olivia Gabriella Anna Marie Cesare. Priyankshi Chakraborty. Clarissa Chan. Gabriella Chanin. Debbie Chen. K.U. Chen. Michelle Erica Chuck. Alexander Lee Chick. Sophie Helen May Choi. Alyssa Jordana Krapko. Woo Suk Chun. Catalina Chupak. Emily Marie Cleghorn. Dylan Devlin Coley. Amelia Iris Collette. Carissa Nicole Como. Regan Sonia Souza Costa. Dante Gabriel Crispino. Grace Jacinth Rendall Cunningham. Peter Matthew Davidson. Maisie Elaine Davis. Maya DeCaro. Eunice Catherine Siu Gwan Dare. Juliana Marie Diradur. Lovely Faith Manlangit Dizan. Aiden Laura Dougal. Avery Maisie Jean Doxtator. Nathaniel Draper. Jia Rong Du. Juan Diego Duarte Marcano. Alexander George Dukas. Grace Wynn Eaton. Eric Shota Fallis. Emily Van. Charlotte Taylor Vicente Fernandez. Brian Finn. Aisha Faisal Firoz. Ava Nori Flint. May Jade Foster. Kabeja Gahiga. Carolyn Gao. Sabina Garcia Ortega. Yoon Teresa Gunn. Amy Eileen Guman. L. Genevieve Gilbert. Stuart Darius Gordon. Isabel Graves Ward. Charlotte Ann Gray Sear. Megan Nancy Grenville. Monica Agatha Gjiva. Hannah Lynn Kaba Gyang. Yijie Han. Amandine Emily Madeline Harris. Jacob Heron. Kaylee Chung Un Ko Hartigan Go. Colin Kevin Paul Hayes. Piper Yun Hayes. Sarah Edna Hicks. Albert Yi Ho. Anshin Melody Hong. Abby Marion Hood. Chen C. Scott Lyman. Yang Hu. Mohan Huang. Aaron Kwek Wei. Grace Hua. Imasuen Osakiode. Nabil Islam. Mia Wenhee Borup Jacobson. Khalil Jamal. Jamie Page Jensen. Ashley Hyein Jun. Yoon Tong Jia. Shane Joy. Florence Sun Woo Young. Karen Khan. Daphne Nicole Capsales. Saha Imran Kazmi. Asima Kidwai. Anna Ruth Killam. Hei Ju Kim. Yeji Kim. Hannah Florence Kim Craig. Diego Klein Miranda Buccelli. Ji Woo Jackie Ko. Aditi Kolaru. Nicholas Daniel Koski. Gwyneth Elizabeth Kozlowski. Julia Catherine Kozlowski. Jyotsna Ganesh Kumar. Krishna Kumar. Alexandra Diana Lamas. Tyson Edward Lastman. Jillian Faye Leal. Chen Si Lin. Isabella Liu. Jin Yang Liu. Logan Liut. Noemi Lofranco. Han Tian Long. Vivian Long. Danielle Lauren Louis. Taksin Tabea Amin Mansi. Lauren Mary McDonald. Francesca Ileana Maldonado Vitar. Yet Ye Men. Jocelyn Elizabeth Matka. Arlen McAdory Stone. Molly Alexandra McGoran. Leah Kathleen McKinney. Declan James Lewis McPherson. Michael Alexander Mejia. Kyra Karen Menezes. Annie Christina Metzger-Oak. Aliyah Megan Middleton. Felicia Nancy Miele. Tiana Milacic. Clara Lily Miller. Gabrielle Mills. Cameron Avery Miranda Radford. David Edgar Mitchell. Manuela Mora Castillo. Isabella Katerina Yasmin Morgan. Ariana Antonella Moyano. Lindsay Nelson. Emily Tung V. Wynn. Shenkun Nia. Anna Novak. Kiona Brianna Osowski. Lee Chong Pan. Ji Wei Pan. Eric Robert Pape. Jesse Gorel Pelevan. Leah Mary Pivato. Catherine Helene Posios. Megan Laura Price. Yi Ming Q. Aaron Bronwyn Avalon Ralph. Juliana Rivas Torrente. Rebecca Eileen Robitaille. Monica Rocha Martinez. Sabrina Leah Romero. Mason Kafka Raposa. Jonah Matthew Rosen. Noah Adisa Rudder. Svabini Divyesh Sagar. Iman Azima Salaudin. Natalia Sandoval Sanchez. Hala Ahmed Sarhan. Madeline Zenas Schmuckler. Anna Sarabian. Gulshan Sharbadar Alayi. Han Yan Shun. Roy N. Shi. Monica Elisa Siciliano. Sean Yitzhak Zigelvax. Logan Sit. Maya Grace Smart. Elizabeth Sissy So. Justin Jiapo Song. Yu Ru Song. Alexandra Stefanov. Rachel Shlomit Sugin. Ming Tong Sun. Ginevra Sweetco. Shin Tian Tan. Anna Louisa Tark. Johan Tariq. Angelina Constance Toro. Noelle Jessica Taylor. Anna Dmitrievna Taterkina. Ariana Teresa Timbal. Quang Vinh Bao Tran. Miana Lane Trout. Anna Sura. Lucas Alexander Orban. Layla Zara Vahid. Andrew Mung-Hun Van. Jaden Hope Cindy Van Allen. Elisa Francesca Vano. Diana Marie Vink. Olivia Eileen Marie Wall. Chelsea A. Wong. Jialin Wang. Xenia Wasim. Rick Way. Way to go, Rick. Vivian Way. Hannah Simone Weininger. Jun Ying Wen. Tristan John White. Sophie Elizabeth Wilkin. Jonah Samuel Weinberg. Emily Wu. Yushi Shu. Shiri Young. Aishanur Yildiz. Susan Yu. Abdullah Zafar. Emily Nicole Zalewski. Simona Paulina Zaunius. Zishuan Zhang. Runjia Cho. Isabel Chu. Ivy M. Zhu. Xinyi Cindy Ju. Kyriaki Athena Zorbas. Thomas Gary Zuliani. Emmett Patrick Zich. Athanasia Athena Zigotegas.
On behalf of the University of Toronto, and by virtue of the authority vested in me, I hereby admit all of those candidates not here present to their degrees in absentia.
As we conclude Convocation, I wish to thank all of you for your participation and your patience. To the families and friends and to those in the procession, let me say thank you. You've made this a more memorable event for each member of the graduating class. I want to thank especially our wonderful Chancellor Wes Hall for presiding so graciously over today's ceremony. Thank you, Chancellor. Let me thank as well the many other colleagues and friends of the university who participated in this convocation, whose names you will find in the program, and a special shout out to our two wonderful readers this afternoon. Now, to our honorary graduate, Dr. Alan Taylor, let me just say that you have inspired us with your lifetime career and accomplishments. And today you've inspired us once again with your words. Thank you and congratulations. I now invite the Chancellor to bring today's ceremony to a close.
As I bring this convocation ceremony to a close on this, your special day, I hope we'll see you often in the years to come, and I invite you to stay connected will be very interested in your journey. We know that you'll make an impact for the better in whatever path you choose. Concilium, demissum, est.